Hello, everybody. I'm Parsha Becky, and we are back for another week of Parsha. As you may recall, we are currently in the middle of the first book of Torah, the book of Bereishit. Bereishit means at the start, and we are at the start of the Torah. We are at the start of the whole world, and this week's Parsha is called Noach. Now, if you remember at the very end of last week's Parsha, we were told that everybody in the world at that point in time was really bad, except for Noach, who is good. And this week's Parsha is named after him, and it picks up at the same point. It reminds us again, Noach is good, and also he has three kids. Their names are Shem, Cham, and Yefet. But other than Noach, everyone in the world is terrible. Everyone is really bad. And Hashem, God says, hey, Noach, here's a cool fact. I'm going to be destroying the entire world soon, so that will be fun. Maybe it won't be fun. Don't worry, Hashem says, Noach, you're going to be okay because I'm going to destroy the world with a flood. But first, I want you to build a boat. You're going to make a really big boat, and you'll be okay. You'll be on the boat. So it's going to be, I'll tell you how big to make the boat. It's going to be 3 floors, so lots of space. It's going to have lots of nice windows, and you'll go on the boat. Your whole family will go on the boat. You'll take lots and lots of food on the boat, and you will also bring some animals onto the boat. Specifically, you will bring 7 of every kind of bird and 7 of every kind of kosher animal. So, even if you eat some, you'll have others left over of that kind of animal, and 2 of all the other kinds of animals. So Noach starts building the boat, and he builds the boat exactly as Hashem says, and he brings all the food onto the boat, and he brings all the animals onto the boat, 7 of every bird, 7 of every kosher animal, 2 of every other animal. And he brings his whole family onto the boat, and he closes up the doors to the boat. And at this point in time, Noach is 600 years old. It's a nice young age, and it starts to rain. And it's raining and raining. Now, yesterday where I was, it was raining, but today it is not. The rain has ended. Now, imagine if the rain did not end. Imagine if the rain does not stop for 40 days straight, all day long, all night long, pouring rain, does not stop for even 5 minutes. Now, I don't know about you. If you've ever been on a long car ride or another long trip with a younger sibling, or maybe you were the younger sibling, after a couple hours, you're going to be hearing a lot of, are we there yet? Or can I get off now? Well, just imagine how much of that we're going to be hearing when you're stuck on a boat for 40 days. At the end of 40 days, it stops raining. So can we get off now? No, we can't, because the rain has stopped, but there's water everywhere. The water has gotten so high, the water goes higher than the very tops of all the mountains. It's water everywhere. So we can't get off. So they wait another 150 days just floating around in the boat. And after 150 days, can we get off now? Well, the water has gone down a little bit, so that the tippy tops of the mountains are poking out over the top of the water, and the bottom of the boat gets stuck on the top of a mountain. The boat has now landed on top of a mountain. But we can't get off because other than the very bottom of the boat, there is still water everywhere. So they wait another 40 days. And can we get off now? Well, let's see. Noach's like, I don't know. So he sends a raven. He takes a raven, a big black bird. He says, hey, raven, I want you to fly around and check out and see if there's anywhere we can go if we get off the boat. So the raven leaves and it flaps its wings. It flies around. The raven comes right back to the boat. So clearly the raven didn't find anywhere it could stand or sit, so it had to come back to the boat. We can't get off yet. So they wait another week, and can we get off now? Well, let's see. The raven's still tired, so Noach sends a different bird. He sends a dove, little white bird, and he says, okay, dove, I want you to go and check out to see if there's anywhere we can go. And the dove goes, and it flies around, and it comes right back to the boat. Dove didn't find anywhere to sit either. So we can't get off. We wait another week. And we're like, can we get off now? So Noach sends the dove again, same story. The dove flies around and it comes back. And this time it has a little branch of a tree from an olive tree in its mouth. So the water has gone down so that the tops of the trees are now poking out over the water. But we still can't get off the boat because it's one thing to grab a branch from a tree. The dove still didn't find anywhere it could actually stay for any amount of time. It had to come back to the boat. So we wait another week and we're like, can we get off now? And Noach's like, well, I'll see. So he sends the dove out again and the dove flies off. And this time the dove does not come back. which means it was able to find somewhere it could make a nest. It's comfortable. So finally, we can open up the doors to the boat. But guess what? We still can't get off because you know how the earth's kind of like wet and muddy after it rains? Well, imagine how wet and muddy it will be after this much rain and this much water being on it for so long. If they step off the boat now, they'll be sinking up to their waist in the world's biggest mud puddle. So at least they've got the doors of the boat open. They've got some fresh air. They've got a change of scenery, and they have to wait for another 2 months before the earth dries out. And we're like, can we get off now? And finally, they can get off the boat. And Noach builds a mizbeach to give a gift to Hashem, and Noach gives some animals to Hashem as a present to say, thank you, Hashem, for saving us from the flood, and also thank you for letting us finally get off that boat. And Hashem says, hey, Noach, I've got some rules for you, 3 rules. Rule number 1, I want you to spread out, fill up the world. I don't want the earth to be empty. Right now, you guys are the only human beings, so when your kids have kids and they have kids and they have kids, I want them to all move out and move around and fill up the earth. I want it to be filled with people again. Rule number 2, you can eat animals, you can eat meat, but do not eat blood. Yuck, gross, don't eat the blood. Rule number 3, Hashem says, you cannot harm other human beings because Hashem made every single human being. Every human being was made in the image of God, which basically means that every single human being represents Hashem. Every single human being has a bit of Hashem in them. So if you hurt another human being with your words or with your actions, you are attacking Hashem, and that's not okay. And Hashem says, I know I gave you guys a bunch of rules. That's 3 rules for you and all the human beings ever after you. But I've also got a rule for myself. Hashem says, I've got a rule for God. My rule is I promise I will never again try to destroy the entire world with a flood. And in case you have trouble believing that, I will give you a special sign of this promise. You see this? You look up at the sky, you see all those pretty colors. We're going to call that a rainbow, and it'll show up basically after every rainstorm. And you'll look up, you'll see it. It will remind you that whenever it rains, the rain will end. I will keep my promise. It will not destroy the world. And Noach's like, hey, that's a really pretty rainbow, God. And God's like, thanks. I made it myself. So Noach now becomes a farmer. And he plants some grapes, and the grapes grow, and he takes the grapes. He's like, I'm going to make some grape juice. He's like, wait, better idea. I'm a grown up. I'm going to make some wine. So Noach makes the wine, and he drinks his wine. He's very proud of himself for making it. He drinks a lot of wine. He drinks too much wine. And as you may know, when people drink too much wine, sometimes they get very silly. So Noach drinks too much wine. He starts getting very silly. And his youngest son, Cham, sees this and starts laughing at him. He's like, ha ha, look at Noach, what a loser. He drank too much wine and now he's acting silly. Ha ha. And Chum goes and tells his brothers, Shem and Yefet, he's like, guys, check it out. Our dad Noach's acting really stupid and silly because he drank too much wine. Come laugh at him with me. And Shem and Yefet are like, whoa, not cool, dude. First of all, it's never okay to laugh at somebody else. And second of all, like, especially, what are you thinking laughing at our dad? Like, wow, rude. That's not respectful. So they go and they, instead of laughing at Noach, they help tuck Noach into bed and they're like, sleep it off, man. And Noach wakes up feeling better. And when he finds out what happened, he gets very mad at Cham. He's like, whoa, that's not okay that you laughed at me when I wasn't feeling well and had accidentally drunk too much wine. I hope that Hashem makes bad things happen to you and your children because you were terrible to me. And he says to Shem and Yefet, he's like, thanks, guys, so much for being respectful and taking care of me and helping me get to bed when I was feeling like silly from drinking too much wine. I hope that God makes great things happen to you and your children forever for being so good to me. And the Parsha continues with a family tree of Noach's kids and their 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 kids, all the way down for many, many years. But by the time we get to the end of this family tree, the Torah tells us at this point in time, all the people are still speaking the same one language, and they are all living in the same one place. They have not spread out. Hang on. What was the first rule God gave them when they stepped off the boat? Spread out. Why are they not spreading out? And in fact, these people are like, oh, hey, guys, we have an amazing idea. We're going to build a city. And in that city, we're going to make a tower. It's going to be the tallest tower you can imagine. It's going to be taller than the CN Tower. It's going to be all the way up to the sky. And the reason why we're going to do this is to make sure that we never, ever, ever, ever spread out. We're going to all stay in the same one place forever, and our kids will stay, and their kids and their kids and their kids will stay in the same one place. That is the exact opposite of what God told them to do. So Hashem's watching them building their tower and being like, oh yeah, we're so amazing. We're ignoring Hashem. We're never going to spread out. Hashem's like, it kind of looks like they're deliberately doing the exact opposite of what I told them to do. I'm not a fan of this, so I'm going to fix it. And while they're building the tower, Hashem mixes up all their languages. And suddenly, they can't understand each other anymore. And one person's like, hey, can you please pass the brick? And the other person's like, ma, lo hebanti. No, pass the brick. Ma ata omer. Ani lo mevin. Quoi? Quoi? Je ne comprends pas. Que? No comprendo. What? Vos is dos? What? Ma? Vos? Ma? Quoi? Que? And nobody can understand each other. They're all speaking different languages. So they realize they can't keep building a city and a tower when none of them can understand each other. So they give up on the building project, and everybody finds some people who speak the same language as them, and they move away together. So people who speak one language go this way, and the people who speak one language go that way, and the people who speak another language go that way. So people all move out with the people who speak their language, and finally, people are spreading out. And the Parsha continues with these people's kids and their 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 kids, all the way down a long family tree to a guy named Terach. And Terach has 3 kids, and Terach wants to move with some of his family to a place called Canaan. So Terach takes his son Avram, and Avram and his wife Sarai. Avram and Sarai don't have any kids right now, but Terach takes his son Avram and his daughter-in-law Sarai, and his grandson, his other kid's son Lot. And he's like, okay, Avram, Sarai, and Lot, we're going to move to Canaan. So the 4 of them, they're all excited and ready to move to Canaan, but it's a long way. They stop on the way at a place called Haran, and they end up never making it to Canaan because Terach reaches the end of his life in Haran, and they end up being there. And we're going to have to stay tuned for next week's Parsha to find out if the rest of the family ever make it to Canaan. Shabbat Shalom.